watch this video before you do your work. It will really help you out. Okay, now something I want to say to you all is that I'm sure that maybe you're already doing this, but I just want to remind you, in case you're not, that when we do our morning work on our morning centers, you guys do a really good job working quietly at your desk without interrupting me when I'm reading with another group. So remember, when you're doing your reading and your spelling and your handwriting, all of those things you should probably be able to do pretty much by yourself without asking your parents a lot of questions. So what I'd really like you to work on today is, once you sit down and start working, let your parents do their work, let your brother and sister do their work, and you really focus on what you're doing. And if you have a question, after you've tried to do your handwriting and your spelling and your reading, then you ask your question after you've worked on it for quite a while on your own, rather than just continually asking questions to your parents the whole time. Because I know that some of you have actually been telling your parents, wait a minute, I know how to do this. We do this in class every week, and I know what I'm doing here. So continue doing that if you are. If you're not doing that and you're being a little needy with your parents, I'm just asking you to try to be a little more independent today. All right? Now, I'm going to show you what we're doing for Sarah Plain and Tall. So for Sarah Plain and Tall, we are reading, I believe we're on chapter 3. So you already have your lap book. It might be a different color. You did your cover, you did your family, and you did your prairie and your sea. Now if you're behind on any of this, work on it and try to catch up. Now today we're going to be doing our characters, the main characters. Now there are only 4 main characters. And who are they? You know who they are, right? You know, there's the brother, his name is Caleb. There's the sister, her name is Anna. There's Papa, and there's Sarah. So what you're going to do is, on this page, and I cut it out already, you're going to, in each little piece of the circle, you're going to put the name of the person and draw a little picture. And then you kind of turn it this way. So at the top, it should always be at the top, this wide part is where you have the name. Okay, to put it together, we've used it brads before. Hopefully you still have that brad that was in that baggie that I gave you that also had the clay and the card in it. Now remember, I usually use a push pin to make a hole. So hopefully you either, if you don't have a push pin, ask an adult. Maybe they could use something else that's sharp, but ask an adult to help you. Punch a hole here and in the middle here. We've done this before in class, like with our leprechauns. And then you just take the paper fastener or brad, whatever you want to call it, and poke it through and poke it through. So that way, and then of course on the back, ignore there won't be writing on the back of yours, don't worry about it. You bend it back, and now it's like a little wheel and you can spin it. So you can look at it, so this is how it's going to be. So you can look at the character and you can put Caleb, and then there's your little picture. And then you can turn it, and there's Anna. See how that works? Now, when you get done with that, you're going to glue it inside your book. Now remember, you have this sheet that tells you where everything goes in your lap book. So it shows the main character wheel glued up here next to your family. Okay? So you just glue that on when you're done. Now this, we're going to be working on this for another week, so there's no need to turn it in today or on Monday when you get your new packet. Let me show you something. I did put on the grade link a checklist that says what I'm expecting you to turn in this week. So when you pick up your work for next week, either today, this afternoon at 4 to 6, or Monday, hopefully on Friday, so you just have it all ready for Monday, you turn in what you have. Now, if there are things that you haven't finished yet, that's okay. I'm going to keep a checklist for each person, so you don't need to print this out and turn it into me. But I'm going to go through what you turn in and check off. Okay, I got that, I got that, I got that. And then if I'm missing something, I'm going to expect to see that the next week. Okay, because I realize some of you might not be able to finish all the work on Friday in time to turn it in on Friday, or maybe you're behind on something. There are a few things where you're not going to be turning it in yet, like your language booklet. You're not going to turn in your journal. You're not going to turn in your studies weekly in case you want to do the science experiment. Your science report, if you're done, you can turn it in, but you still have another week to work on that. So this checklist, I know it looks long, but it will keep you informed. Sarah Plain and Tall, anything for Sarah Plain and Tall, but if you need another book, like you're running out of books at home to do in your reading, make sure that you send me a message so that I can have some books for you to choose from in the office, because I can take some books from the library here and set them in the office and let you trade if you have some books from the library or something like that. Okay? One more thing with the reading, I really need everybody to have their parent take a picture of their reading hours and send it to me if you haven't already. I already got Isaiah Garcia's reading, and yay, you made your 40 hours. And I already got Izzy's reading, and you're going to get some tickets. I'm going to put some tickets in for you if you've already made your 50 hours. So Izzy's getting some more tickets into the drawing that Mrs. Moore is going to be making. So please, if you haven't already, have your parent send me your hours after March 6th. So they can just take a picture of your March page in your reading calendar, and then I can figure it out from there, and I'll add it to your total. There's a few people who I want to make sure you get to your 40 hours, so hurry up and get that in, and also you want those tickets. Okay, so let's talk about spelling. Today we're not going to be using our spelling books. We're going to be using these 2 pages, and you've done things like this before. So let's start with this one. There's going to be 3 sounds, or spellings, I should say. So there's in germ, there's ear in fear, and there's ear in deer. And each one's a different color. So you're going to color the word or picture that goes with that sound. You've done this before. Now, if some weird thing happens, like you don't have the right color, cross it out and put what color you're going to use. All right? Now, on this page, I realize that some of these pictures are a little bit hard to tell what they are. So, I'm going to show you on my computer in just a second. Okay, so some of these are the pictures you're going to see on your homework sheet. So, this one, do you know what it is? It's a fern. There's that picture. And this picture here, I bet you know what that is. That's an ear. Okay, so this is serve and this is tear, but we don't need that for our homework page. Okay, so for these pictures, I put up what you need to know. This is a clear glass. These are peers. We talked about that in our Zoom this morning. People the same age as you are your peers. This is steer, like a steering wheel. This picture is not on your homework, but can you guess what it is? That's right, it's learn. So this picture is going to be on your homework, and this person is a clerk. That's the person who rings you up someplace. This one is heard, but there's no picture on your homework sheet. Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to show you your word work for spelling. Now remember, we've done this before. You're going to unscramble these words at the top. Now some of you might be saying, well, how do I know what to start with? Well, what I would do is I would take the ER or the EAR and put it in the middle first. So for example, for this one, I would put the ER in the middle and then try to figure out where everything else goes. Oh, wait a minute. EER is our sound, not ER. Let's try it again. So we'd put ER in the middle, EER in the middle, sorry. So the D either has to go at the beginning or at the end. Well, if it's at the end, it's this. Have you ever heard of this word? Eared? I haven't. Okay, I guess that's not it. So let's put the D in the front. And then what is that? You're right, deer. So that's the first one. So that's how I would do all of these. I would put the EER or the EAR in the middle and then fool around with the other letters until you get a word that makes sense. Okay, for this section in the middle, you're going to just color this sound red and this sound blue. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, when you get to here and it says read the room, you find these words in the room. Okay, what that actually means is you're just trying to think of any words that have those sounds. So I'm looking around the room. Do I see anything in the room I'm in? Hey, Miss Colleen is helping me film. I see she has an ear ring. And she has an ear. I could put ear and I could put earring right there. She probably has 2 earrings, but I could put an S on it if I wanted to. I'm looking around the room. Do I see anything else? I don't see anything. Well, you know what I could do? I could look on my spelling list. Or I could look over here and just write any words that have those. Or I could think of a word that rhymes with something. Just any word that has those sounds for practice. Now here we get to the roll it. So I take a die. I've been using that word a lot, die. It just means 1 dice. Okay, so I'm going to just maybe you have a game of Monopoly or something that you have a die from. If you don't have a die, you just have to pick a number somehow. We've done this for homework. So I roll it and I get a 2, so I write the word cheer. You may end up writing the same word more than one time. That's fine. Okay, for language, we're going to continue working in our language booklet. I asked you to look at the Nearpod for nouns, and it's a cool little activity, and you're going to be able to add your answers, and I'll be able to see them. So hopefully you'll have a chance to look at that, because it's going to talk about singular and plural nouns, especially. And on this page, a singular noun means one, and a plural noun means 2 or more. So on this page, you're going to put S for singular and P for plural, and you're going to write some of your own nouns. Now, a lot of times, S is just added to make plural. Plural means what? 2 or more. So example, if it's one person who's a baker, like I'm a baker, that's singular, plural, baker, right? Now, if it was 2 people that are bakers, I'm a baker and you're a baker, then that's bakers. So in the Nearpod, you will go over this a little bit more. You'll do some activities. It would be more like if you're in class. You know, usually when we do this little booklet, we'll play a game or I'll tell you some things about it. So you can do that with Nearpod. Let's look at the next page. Now the next page, the singular is the same, 1, but the more than one is a little different, because sometimes you're going to add ES to make your plurals, to make your more than one. And then you're going to fill it in here, fill the plurals in to make sense here. Okay, as you look at these words, you know what most of them mean, but the word klutz is kind of a funny word. A klutz is somebody who's kind of clumsy, and it's kind of, a lot of times people will say, oh, I'm such a klutz. I spilled that, and it's just kind of a funny word to mean you're being a little clumsy. Now, you're going to put ES when the nouns end in S, CH, SH, X, or Z. And that's because when you try to say it, your mouth is really going to have a hard time just adding an S. Like if you're trying to say dress and just adding an S, it's just dress, you sound like a snake. But of course you'd say dresses. Your mouth just wants to say that in the English language. The same with beach. If you just said beach, that's just weird. It doesn't really work, and so you have to say beach is. So a lot of times, your mouth will kind of naturally add that ES. But it's good to study because sometimes, you're a kid. You don't know what to write when you're writing it, and maybe you're not sure if it adds an ES or an S. But if you say it, usually you can tell. Okay, for math, we're going to be doing line plots. And if you bring your book with you to our Zoom conference at 9:15 today, we will go over this. If you're watching this afterwards, I'm going to give you a brief explanation of what a line plot is. This is a graph we haven't talked about before. This is a graph that uses numbers. So this is one reason why I want you to do push-ups, sit-ups, and jumping jacks. I did get some more data. I got some data from Prince. I got some data from Cooper. And I got some data from Gia. I'm sure some more people are going to be sending me data, but we want to have some data so we can make a line plot. Anyway, a line plot uses numbers. So here, they asked 10 students how many servings of fruits or vegetables they eat each day. Now, you notice we're not having words like strawberries, grapes, things like that. We're just having numbers on a line plot. All of these line plots, if you look on the next page, it involves numbers. Okay, so this is a graph you only do with numbers. So what happens is, for each answer that someone gives, you put an X. So an X is like a person. So, for example, 3 people ate 2 servings. So right here with the 2, we would put 3 X's going up. And you can see in this sample over here that right here, 7 was chosen by 1, 2, 3 people. That was their age. 8, the age 8 was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. So in line plots, people are X's. If you were here in the classroom, I would have you stand like an X. And each person is an X. And these are the numbers of ages or how many vegetables you ate, something like that. And we're going to work on this in Zoom unless you can't make it. Thank you. Okay, our last thing is science. Now, your science report that you're working on in that folder, you should have 4 pages done today. If you have 4 pages done, you're good. You can wait till next week. Otherwise, you want to make sure you have 4 pages done. Don't turn it in until you're done. Now, you're going to also do this studies weekly. Now, this can count for your reading time again. Make sure you're writing down your reading time in your planner. Now, if we were reading this in class, I would probably say something like, everybody whisper read this for about 5 minutes. And you would do this. You would go, all living things depend on other living things. I don't even know if you can hear me. You would very quietly read it, and you would look at the pictures, and you would see, oh, what's this about? And then we would look at it together. And I would probably have different people read, and I would read part of it. So if this is a lot of words for you and you're thinking, wow, this is a lot to read, you can have somebody work with you, like your parent or your older brother or sister, and you can trade off reading. But I would have you read some of this, of course. Now, you want to grab a highlighter if you don't have a highlighter. So hold on a minute while I grab a highlighter. Now remember, when I say highlighter, I just mean anything that's a light color. So if you don't have an actual highlighter, you can just grab a yellow crayon or marker. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the questions we're answering first. So the questions you need to answer are right here. And they're going to be fill-in-the-blank questions, and they're going to be about dogs, the word depend, and tadpoles. So what I'm asking you to do on the first page, when you read it, every time you see the word depend, I want you to highlight that. Go ahead and highlight that sentence, because that will help you when you get to the end and you have to figure out, what does the word depend mean? Now, you're obviously going to be reading this as you go, but go ahead and highlight the word depend on the first page, the sentences that say depend. Now, the second part is about a dog. So what I want you to do is, you're going to read the dog part, of course, and go ahead and circle the part that's like the dog. And then when you get to the part, I have to answer a question about the dog, I look at the part, I look back and say, oh, this is where I read about dogs. So I'm going to read this, but circle it. This is where I need to find my answer for dogs. Then I'm going to go ahead and read about the lizards. I'm going to read about the penguins. But I remember there was something about tadpoles here. So when I get to this, oh, wait a minute, there's a tadpole there. I know this is something about a tadpole. So when I get to the end, I'm going to highlight the part that talks about tadpoles. I'm going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to highlight that. So when I get to the questions, I'm going to look at my choices, and then I'm going to go back, and I can find my answers quickly by looking at the part I highlighted. Now, for the Science Weekly, the do and learn is extra credit. You are not required to do this, but you may for science extra credit. So that's why I'm not having you turn it in until next week, just in case you want to save this and, oh, if I have time and I have nothing to do, I can go ahead and do this extra credit. This extra credit involves tasting things while you're holding your nose to see if, can I still taste them if I don't smell them? So I think it's a kind of an interesting experiment, and it doesn't take a lot of supplies. So this is extra credit. Now for your optional recess activity. My idea was to make your own bowling game. So what you're going to do is you can take some empty water bottles if you have them and put a little water in them and line them up. And then you take a ball that's soft. Don't take like a baseball, but a soft ball, and roll it and try to knock the pins over. Now, if it's not raining, you could actually do this outside. If it's raining, you could do it inside. Also, there's another way you can do it, and I've attached a link that if you didn't have empty water bottles, you could take 2 cups and have your parent hot glue them together with some like beans inside and make your own bowling pins. And in that game of bowling, they actually took a stocking and put the ball inside the stocking and put the stocking on their head and kind of tried to bowl it with the stocking. So it's up to you if you want to try one of those ideas. You can try it. I like that you're sending me ideas. Next week, I'm going to use one of Samuel's ideas for the recess idea. And hopefully I'll be able to show you that tomorrow. He sent it to me, but Some of yours, I think Anita, I think I had a picture from you that didn't quite get in because I'm trying to organize my pictures so I can find them real quickly. So if I didn't get you in and you sent me a picture, I'll try to get it in the next day. All right, so the other thing we have is, I just have one more extra credit page. If you want to do, you need something more to do, you can do the page about kites. All right, now, if you've already, if you're listening to this early, you'll see that we're going to be meeting up at 9:15. So you need your math book and a pencil, and then you need this paper that's the Marriage of Figaro, because we're going to do a little music activity and you need something to color with. If you're watching it later, I hope you enjoyed our Zoom, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.